I can't believe it. I can't believe how much information I feel like we got there. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of questions as always, but like, this is starting to actually provide some crazy info. Oda intentionally teasing us with the hooded guy hiding the other eye. That one, 100%, dude. Like, this page is just beyond obvious with what they're doing here. This Shanks panel is just yet again massive, heavy confirmation that we are being teased on. Is this the real Shanks? Is this not the real Shanks? I'm convinced it's not. I'm convinced it's not. And what's gonna happen here? Because keep in mind, Luffy just made the choice to go straight back to Loki with Zoro, which is insane, but that's what's happening. So Luffy's on his way back to Loki with Zoro to get some answers out of him and figure that out. In theory, that's going to set us up to potentially run into this Shanks. And of course, Luffy immediately is going to be like, wait a minute, Shanks. Or maybe Luffy will be smart, because Luffy has his really big brain intuition moments. They're not as often as we'd like him to be necessarily, but he has these moments for sure. And like, I could totally see him being like, wait a minute, you're not Shanks, like immediately. And like, that's the way the next chapter ends, or that chapter, whenever they like run into each other, he'll be like, wait, who are you? You're not Shanks. And that'll be our big boom aha moment, or like there's like the confirmation that we needed. And God, dude, I hate to say it, and I'm still against it, but we inch ever closer every single day to the Shanks evil twin theory, guys. Also, we see how Gunko's devil fruit works now, like how we saw the guy wrapped up last chapter. Exactly. And she has like a Byakugan or some kind of Jogan or crazy eye going on over here. Like, I really wonder what the eye specifically is, because it seems to mean something, right? Like the eye definitely has some kind of something going on here. It's interesting. All right, let's start at the beginning of this chapter. I want to go through this like page by page a little bit and like talk about just like each massive moment, because good Lord, there's just so many big things here. First off, Usopp being Usopp, talking about being the one to take down Oars. I hate you. I hate you so much, Usopp. I hate you so much. What I really hope, one thing that I need to see happen with this particular arc, and I pray to God it does, one of these giants, whichever one ends up kind of getting closer to Usopp and Usopp starts spending more time with, assuming it's not Dorian Bragi, because like I'm hoping that, as much as I love Dorian Bragi, I need them to be with some fresh new giants that like have just been on this island or whatever, and I want them to call Usopp the fuck out. Like, I want one of them to be like, Usopp, I see that you are just lying through your teeth, dude, and we're not going to do that here. We're not going to play that game. Like, us as giants, like, we take our honor very, very seriously, and we take our wins and our losses very, very seriously. So for that reason, we're not going to hear this. We're not going to let you keep lying to us. You need to get your stuff together. I think that would be the best check for Usopp. And even if he still does continue lying just a little bit, you know, like he starts to get better. So that's my little rant on Usopp. That's really all I have to say. I still have faith that Usopp will cook this arc. I do, but this hurts it. Another fun little Easter egg right here. Look at the little guy doing the Nika pose. I didn't even notice that in the first read through, but that little Nika pose right there, going crazy, bro. I freaking love it. A big perception thing that I'm seeing from this particular panel, the king here saying, it's not often that humans come up here to the sun world. Usually they don't know how to get here, so they assume the underworld is Elbaf and end up fleeing. All these rumors of Elbaf being, I mean, yes, they are a like warring, like warland country. It's more on like a religious and spiritual way, it feels like, especially with the way their culture seems to be today, because like they come in and they're like, wait, I thought all you guys were pirates, and most of them are like, nah, like a lot of us are pretty pacifistic. Like, yeah, like we'll get rough and rowdy with each other, but like we're just trying to live a nice cozy life here on our tree. And I think that's huge, because like the war, like it'll probably tie into like the world not appreciating the value and the merit of the giants, like basically just assuming one thing about them because they've only gone to the very worst part of it. It would be like going to the most dangerous city in any given country, and that being the only city you've ever gone to in that country, and then basing all of your future assumptions on that country based on your experience within that one horrible, like super dangerous city, you know? And I feel like that's what the world has now gotten from this, like from their experiences over on Elbaf. So that's a very, very interesting concept that I think will, I think that'll tie into like the world politics of this. Elbaf is a land of warriors in spirit, not in battle. Exactly, Zen, exactly. I fully agree. Zoro aura farming is necessary. That is something I love, because homie's like, yeah, dude, thanks for not killing me back there. He goes, hey, look, you didn't die only because Usopp stopped us from fighting back. If not for that, your head would have left your shoulders. Like, Zoro just outright aura farming. This panel is one of my favorite panels of Zoro that we've gotten in a hot minute. But this panel, this whole panel, we are getting actual sun god lore. They have a Bible basically, and it's the Harley is what they call it. Just like in our world, and just like with the issues that we deal with many of the major religions across the world, the holy text was originally written in a language that is no longer known at all by anybody who's alive. So it's been translated and translated and translated into a more current language. And through those translations, we've gotten a lot of misconceptions or pieces of it that we can't truly define. So it's created a multitude of sects within the religion that I guess is based on the Harley. I don't know if they have a specific name, but their one singular figure that pops up in all of them is Nika, the sun god. But I love that they talk about, no, he's a god of liberation. No, he's a god of destruction. No, he's a god of laughter. He could easily be a god of all three of those things. He could possibly be a god of none of those things, or those could have just been parts of the many other feats that this god actually attained. And I think that is just so cool, the way Oda did such a good job of giving us a nod to a current day religion, but within this world, and exactly how it happens. Like, when this is a thousands of years old religion, it's going to be misinterpreted at times because of all the mistranslations. And I think that's so freaking cool. And the fact that it even shows that like all these guys are like fighting over it. Like the three of them say, no, it's this, no, it's this, no, it's this. And then they all start fighting. And I do like the concept of this one person saying, don't be a fool. The sun god isn't a ruler, which very, very interesting. He's not ruling over anything. He's just a sun god. You know, like question mark, a sun god of what? You know, god of liberation, destruction, laughter, something else. You look at it like this, look at Luffy. You can easily say that Luffy is a god of all three of those things, because everywhere Luffy goes, destruction follows. Not to say that it's destruction, you know, in a bad way. He is, you know, generally helping people, liberating people. So through all this, he's liberating, he's destroying, and all he does is laugh the entire time he does it, specifically in his Gear 5 form, of course. The whole "and he laughed" moment, like all that stuff, it's very, very obvious, right? He's not a ruler. He's a god of liberation, god of destruction, god of laughter. Every single one of those describes Luffy. Every single one describes Luffy to a T. He's absolutely not a ruler. He's definitely a liberator. He definitely destroys in his path, but it's not that he's doing it in a malicious manner. He's just, he moves crazy. He just be destroying stuff. He's wild. And then he's a god of laughter, of course. So, and the fact that these guys are fighting about it when, honestly, I think the true answer here, just based on Luffy, is they are all right. Every single one of them are right. And that is just what is so important. Is that long ring, long land on Nika's shield? That's actually kind of crazy. That is actually kind of crazy. Dude, there's gotta be something to it. There's absolutely gotta be something to it. Because like that's such an interesting thing with the water rising. Honestly, it's probably just the sun on Nika's shield. Long Ring Long Land is a funny answer. Absolutely, dude. Wonder if Luffy will know his true power at this arc. I hope he does get a chance to learn, dude. As much as I love Luffy doing this like blissful ignorant thing where he's just like running through, I'm a little bit nervous because one thing that he says here is like right here, he says, that must be why everyone said I remind them of him. Nah, haha, but that has nothing to do with me. That line alone is enough for me to think that Luffy probably will not ever fully come to terms with the fact that he himself is the reincarnation of Nika, the sun god. And if he did, I think that would mean a drastic divergence from Luffy's current character. Not to say that it's impossible and won't happen and can't happen, but I think in that moment, that would put a level of pressure on Luffy that has yet to exist on him. And in that would create a paradox where he would no longer be free because of the weight that he now feels on his shoulders because of whom he is or whom he has become. So, in conclusion, I think narratively it makes the most sense that Luffy never accepts that he is the sun god, because that would then take freedom away from him, because he would feel a pressure to perform or be a certain thing to certain people, especially when there's an entire book, an entire race of people who worship that god. You think Emu will have a fruit that's another legendary zone, call it Tsukiyomi. You think, I love that idea. I romanticize that idea. I romanticize it because we have the sun god, we obviously need a moon god, and then Blackbeard is like the god of just darkness in general. Does anyone consider that Blackbeard's darkness could represent the absence of God? Ooh, Rob, I like that idea a lot. I do think that generally speaking, the key word is absence there, whether it's God or just a totality of absence. So at the end of the day, Blackbeard's biggest power is turning everything to nothingness, it seems like, taking all light from everything. And Luffy is the embodiment of hope, right? So like they are true, pure, polar opposites. So even more so this is a concept to really think about, right? Emu, assuming Emu had a Tsukiyomi type fruit, right? Or like a moon fruit or whatever like Mel is kind of getting at here. The moon is not the opposite of the sun. The moon is because the sun, right? We wouldn't see the moon. The moon is a reflection of the sun in a dark time. So the sun shines, it reflects off the moon and comes on onto the earth. Darkness, though, is the opposite of the sun, is the opposite of light. Blackbeard is the true polar opposite. So it's like we have Luffy here, Blackbeard here, like on opposite sides, and Emu in the middle, up all of this stuff right here. So Blackbeard coming in and being the absence of God. I mean, if he got his way, I feel like that's what we would see. We would see a godless world, right? Which falls to darkness in this concept. I don't know, dude. There's a lot to unpack there. Luffy, the sun, is shining his light on Emu, the moon, and bringing it to light and the knowledge of what's happening. Exactly, Mel. That's the connection I was trying to make there, and you managed to do it. Is he the hero who appeared to save the world from disaster? The destroyer who lays waste to all? When he appears, the world is about to undergo a great transformation. That line alone, obviously we know that we're here. Something I want to point out though. So obviously laughter is a big thing. When Gold Roger made it to the final island, he called it Laugh Tale. Gold Roger found the One Piece and he laughed. Luffy obviously laughs. I think the biggest thing is that Gold Roger was too early. Obviously, I think a lot of us have talked about that at this point. I don't know if it's considered a canon thing at this point, but Gold Roger was too early. He did all the things, he checked all the boxes, he sailed around the world, he found Laugh Tale, he found the One Piece, he learned the secrets of the world, but he was still powerless to do anything about it because it wasn't time yet. He wasn't the one. Gold Roger was this close to being the one. He was one generation out from being the one. His son was even closer to being the one, but even still, it was not him. It was Luffy. He had to let the next generation take this mantle up. So the only power at the very end of the day that Gold Roger ended up actually holding was the ability to inspire the next generation. So let's read this top panel up here on the top left. Loki's the accursed prince. Even before Loki's birth, King Harold prophesied that he would be killed by his own son. Shortly after he was born, he killed the royal family's lucky horse. Tell me that doesn't sound like a random pissed off citizen blaming something on someone else that they might have done by mistake, and then that getting blamed on Loki. That panel alone, honest to God, it's not that I think Loki is now a good guy, because I'm sure Loki is at the absolute best a morally gray character, probably leaning towards a bad guy. I feel like Loki had a bad go at it. Loki was born into a prophecy of him potentially killing his own father, so his father never trusted him from the moment he was born. Somebody somewhere says that it's Loki's fault that the lucky horse dies, which is like absolutely sounds like a straight up rumor. Like that 100% sounds like people just yapping about nothing and not knowing, or just hearsay. That sounds like, rumors being spread at the bar type shit. So I genuinely think I think Loki's going to end up being a morally gray character. He does have a lot of animosity, and he is a bad guy towards Elbaf now, but they created the bad guy that Loki is. I'm not thinking that Loki is directly the bad guy, or inherently the bad guy. That's probably the word. I don't think Loki's inherently the bad guy. I think he was created to be the bad guy, so yes, he has a lot of disdain for them, and he's probably willing to do bad things to Elbaf because they have him chained in the fucking underworld right now. Like, life is not freaking optimal for him, and hasn't been for a long time, so he feels betrayed by his own people. He feels like he doesn't have, I mean, like, I feel like the most connection he has is with these crazy animals that are around him right now. So I really do think that we're going to find out that Loki is somewhere in the gray area. But like, Loki's many arson, devastation, Loki's many pranks threatened our lives. Between his status as a prince and his cruel personality, he made our lives hell whenever King Harold was away. So look, what if Loki was just playing pranks and doing all that because it was the only way he knew of to get any kind of attention? Like, I'm sure 90% of the attention, he's probably like Naruto, dude. He's born into a village, outcast immediately because he's considered to be a demon or a harbinger of death and destruction. So everyone treats him negatively. He doesn't have this feeling of appreciation or welcomeness within his own community. So because of that, he's playing pranks, arson, devastation. Yes, things that are detrimental, but like, it's probably a situation where at least, you know, any attention is good attention for him because he gets none. I don't know. I'm really leaning towards Loki not inherently being the bad guy. He might have done bad things, but I don't think he's inherently a bad guy. So a situation where prophecy itself leads to the confirmation of it. Exactly, T. Exactly, bro. That is exactly what I'm talking about. We jump to the outskirts of town, and Zoro and Luffy are just kind of having their own side conversation. He's like, you think Loki doesn't even know? And Zoro's like, based on what they're saying, it sounds like he's just a liar. That is such an important, this panel is important, and Zoro's response to this is important to this story that we're building around Loki, in the fact that people don't trust Loki. Loki has a bad reputation, but we have yet to meet somebody who knows Loki. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been no characters who was like, oh, I grew up with Loki. Like we were friends when we were kids. Like, he's really not that bad of a guy. You just need to get to know him, right? Like, that's what we're missing here. So Zoro immediately is going based off perception of Loki, just like everyone else is. And based off that perception, Zoro is assuming that Loki is lying. And Luffy is like, man, like why would he do that though? Like, Luffy doesn't understand the concept of like a pathological liar or something like that. But they end up deciding, if he's lying, I'm not letting him go. I'll beat him up instead. You know, cool, whatever. I also love that he's like, you know what? Like you can kill the homie in front of me. We're Elbafian warriors. We're not scared of that. Like, you know, crazy, super sad. But Loki just decides to turn all of that. He's like, all right, I'll just use that to fuel my rage and burn this freaking world down. Like Loki is just against everybody. He's not specifically a bad guy. He just hates everyone and everything because his whole life is being spent being spited by everybody. But we get no real good confirmation on what's up with these two or what actually ends up happening here. Still, unfortunately, more open questions than answers, of course. I'm about to dive into the theory crafting in the chats that you guys have dropped, so we're gonna do that now. When you first saw Gunko, your first thought was, is that Koala? Dude, that's actually super fair. Looks a lot like Koala. I could totally see that. What if, damn, that's actually a crazy theory. What if, holy shit, guys. Okay. Based on Zen's theory, based on that very basic statement, Gunko seems to look like Koala. What if these are both clones or something like that? It's a Shanks clone, and for some reason, it's a Koala clone. I don't have a good enough reason as to why the world government would want to clone Koala. And then also the question is, like, does she, like, is there a reason she's got a power that isn't the same as Koala's? You know, like how does that work? I guess we technically don't even know that this Shanks, or this twin Shanks or evil twin, has the same powers as the OG Shanks that we know. So there's no confirmations there either. This is interesting. Again, just more questions than answers, though. I like that idea. Her hair does, and then like the fact that she's got like a hat with goggles on it kind of just continues to fit the aesthetic, at least. All right, Zen, let's cook on this theory real quick. Based on some info shared in the new chapter, what if Emu is a descendant of Jormungandr and the world serpent? We learned that the world has been destroyed twice before. What if the red line was once Jormungandr, or as Dory and Bragi referred to, the serpent soaked in blood. Assuming that Joy Boy was the previous Nika before Luffy, what if the Nika before Joy Boy defeated Jormungandr, please bear with me on those pronunciations, and turned him into the Red Line? Emu, if they are from the Void Century or before, could have built Marie Joie on top of the Red Line to protect their ancestor, who could still be alive though petrified now. Wow, I love that theory. I love that theory, Zen. There's a lot to unpack there, but dude, so the big key piece of this is them talking about the world having been destroyed twice. Yep, according to the Harley, the world has twice been destroyed in the past. That absolutely makes sense, combining just this type of lore that we've been dealing with. I love the idea of the Red Line just being a sleeping, like, giant that could be well, not giant specifically, but like a massive sleeping serpent that could really wreck the world. Dude, that would go so crazy. That would absolutely go so crazy. But yeah, Dory and Bragi referring to the serpent soaked in blood, like the Red Line as the serpent soaked in blood, is such a beautiful connector for that specific thing. So I love this theory. I think it's highly, highly possible, Zen. Highly possible. All right, there we go. Let me see if y'all can see it. Yep. The only thing we can't pierce is a snake soaked in blood. Behold the legendary spear of the giants of Elbaf. Interesting. So a snake soaked in blood could be the Red Line. Ouroboros, the Red Line stretched across the entire planet, right? Ouroboros is the serpent that is eating its own tail. Oh yeah, and is almost always depicted as red. That's facts. Oh shit, what if the giant sword stuck into the treasure tree that Elbaf sits on was Nika's sword that we see in the Nika depiction shown? Dude, that could be it. That could absolutely, I mean, that would make sense to be it, right? Last thoughts, what if the Void Century starting incident was an occurrence of Ragnarok where Jormungandr is killed? Ooh, that really could be it. Maybe that's where like the lore could have gotten misinterpreted, where like they were prophesizing Loki being a bad, like a bad prophecy, and that's why they had all these things happen. But maybe Loki had something to do with like maybe possibly stopping it if we had the right translation of the texts. You know, I keep going back to the fact that these texts are quite obviously being mistranslated. But yeah, the Void Century starting incident was an occurrence of Ragnarok for sure. And Jormungandr being killed during that time, Jormungandr very, very much could be like that catalyst. I like that idea, dude. I like that idea a lot. There's so much to cook on here, guys. I am so happy that One Piece is back, guys. One Piece is so back. We got a chapter every week. Obviously, we're going to keep doing this, guys. If y'all want to add any more to any of these conversations, of course, hop in that theory crafting section in Discord. And guys, as always, thank you so freaking much for being here. I really, really appreciate y'all jumping over to Twitch and hanging out with me. Peace and love, guys. I'll catch y'all very, very soon.